Excellent. Great job, Jesse. Thank you to CROW LAX TV. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats if you're able, as we are going to play our national anthem.
Look at how I do it. It's very awkward.
Starting goal tonight for the Crude, number 35, Beaumont.
And welcome inside Ken Nickel Recreation Center for game number 2 of the North semifinal. It's the Outlaws and the Crude. The Outlaws winning game 1 a night ago, 15-12. The Crude looking to answer and tie the best of 3 up at 1. It was the Outlaws' first ever playoff victory last night inside Jerome McGinley Arena. And they're going to look to double up on that and punch their ticket into the Larry Bishop Memorial this August. The Crude, meanwhile, will look to respond after dropping game 1 at home, and they'll look to some of their veterans to return the favor. A team loaded with offensive talent. Will that be enough here tonight? Make sure to stay tuned. We're about to find out. And just before the game, it was announced Jesse Porter is your Rookie of the Year. I know I voted on it. I believe he got co-winner alongside Rylan Connors of the Warriors, who then got traded to the Rebels. As Wells steps back and has his shot soaked by a defender. Wells now swings it over to the aforementioned Porter. Couldn't pick it up, but Brooks sends it to him. Jesse Porter into Wells, and Wells got knocked down, and as he was falling, sent one over top of the net. So some better defense there early on by the Crude, who struggled out the back gate last night. That'll be interference, and now there's some confusion on where they're awarding the ball. Initially, I think that was going the Crude's direction, but now they're going to correct, or they pointed the Outlaws' direction. Now they correct it. They give the ball to the Crude, which makes sense because Nick Apillo was the guy who got knocked down. Here's Dickin, who didn't dress last night, living in Calgary, couldn't make the game. Dickin gets to the net. Graham Dickin steps inside the crease, and that'll be wiped out as the Outlaws come back the other way. Jacob Gaudreau to the dot, and he engages his defender and steps back off, sends it up to Tobin Dugan. Dugan swings it over to Aitken, who wasn't ready for it. Porter will collect that off the glass. Porter back over to Ellis. Ellis looks at the net, rolls one at it, misses the target. Ball is picked back up by the Outlaws. Aitken, sharp angle, easily handled by Horn. So I talked about last night, these two teams had never met in the playoffs in a 4-team division, which is pretty crazy. And then consider the Outlaws also would get their first win in the playoffs since moving to Beaumont in 2018. Elliott steps off a defender, shoots, and that got to the net. Willis fought it off. Now the ball bounces into the stick of Smith, who collects it, and they're going to call I think a shot clock. I think they had an erroneous reset, and so the official Sean Reed says no reset, and he gives the ball to the Outlaws. Polson to Hildebrand, who had a massive game last night. Went on a big-time run where I think he scored 4 goals in a row in the third period. Horn sends it out to Reich, who travels out over center, and he hands it to Fodchuk. Josh Fodchuk skips into the zone. He backpedals and sends it up high to Fry, who sends it to the half wall to Elliott. Excuse me, Dickin. Dickin, drag move through a couple of defenders. Graham Dickin still has it and tried a shot back the other way around his own legs. And then the rebound came out to Fodchuk, who ripped it low past Willis, and the Crude have an early 1-0 lead. So in game 1, the Crew did grab an early 3-0 lead and led 3-2 after the first before the Outlaws would make their way back. The Crew would have a lead once again early on here. Fry up near the restraining line, swings it back over to Fodchuk, who skips underneath his defender, and Fodchuk from a sharp angle, turned away by Willis. Dickin knocks that down, and he'll pick it up near center. Wouldn't have been over and back because the ball did reach Willis. Fodchuk up near the rag line, sends it cross floor to Elliott, who had to re-grab that off the boards. Dickin up high. Swim move, Dickin. Down Main Street, Dickin, and that stayed out. So Willis got his arm up. Keller is going to travel out over center. Transitions to Gaudreau. Here's Gaudreau in front to Brooks, and that's a great save by Horn as he dropped down to the floor to shut off the middle or the bottom of the net. And now Menon back the other way. Dane Menon, the former Warrior, gets stopped by Willis. A couple of players with Founders experience on this Crew team. That would be Dickin and Menon, who spent the majority of their junior careers with the Warriors, playing in the 2022 and 2023 Founders Cups, winning in 23. That ball got sent wide, and it's picked back up by the Outlaws. Aitken, Dugan sends one at the net, and glove down by Horn. Horn out to Nicapillo, who's bothered at center. He loses it. It's going to be 8 seconds, and it'll be Outlaw ball. Shots 4-4 here early on. Crude up 1-0. Just over 4 minutes into this game number 2. Want to thank you for joining us here on the channel, CROW LAX TV. Hit subscribe, you'll be notified every time a game goes live. Hildebrand into the middle, Wells scores! Austin Wells slipped into the middle wide open and deposited it past Horn, and the Crew defense falling asleep there. 1-1. Ball comes back into the Outlaw zone as Wells continues his hot play, evening this one up. Into the middle, Tyson Smith scores on a one-handed feed from Fodchuk. And the big man gets on the board for the Crude. They regain the lead. So Tyson Smith providing some offense here off the left side for the Crude now in transition. Aitken came down on Horn, and Horn shut the far side off. Now Reich is going to be pressed. Reich trying to get it over mid-floor, does so, and avoids the 8-second count. Into the stick of Parker McConnell, who had a nice game last night in game 1. Now Elliott, the dangerous righty, steps into the dotted, and he swings it over to Fodchuk. Fodchuk steps into an outside shot, stopped up high by Willis. Loose ball. Gaudreau is going to try and collect. Gaudreau kicks it forward. It's going to be a delayed call now. So it looks like a slash is coming up to the Crew. Jacob Gaudreau hands off to Austin Wells, and the Outlaws will set up their 6-on-5 here with Willis out of the net. Ellis to Wells. Seal set by Ellis, outside shot. Rebound comes out to Keller. Keller, loose ball, tries to flip it back. It gets knocked down. The Crude will pick it up, and we'll get the delayed call now. The Crude will go to the box for slashing. Wells starts up the power play for the Outlaws. Ellis and Porter on the shooters, Hildebrand, and it looks like Brooks on that near crease. Wells steps into one, and that gets knocked down. Good soak there by defender Dzwanka. Now Dzwanka bats it forward, and he's going to pick it up. Tyson Dzwanka rumbling over center. He puts his shoulder into Porter, and now engages with him. Porter slashing Dzwanka as he comes over the restraining line. Dzwanka rolls off traffic, tries to push it forward, and it's picked up by Ellis. Ellis and Wells have some space here on the right side. Kai Ellis down to Wells, steps back, and then threw an ill-advised pass into the middle, but Brooks is there to save it for the Outlaws. Dugan is on the wrong side of the floor here on a power play. Don't know what that's about. Now that shot comes in, and that might have hit pipe as that jumps out of the field of play, and Dugan needed to get off. As I said, wrong side of the floor. They get a lefty out there, and Aitken will take his spot. Ball moves around. Ellis skips it over to Brooks. Now Wells. Brooks steps into one, low shot, stopped by Horn, and he'll grab that and look to outlet up floor. He's got a man wide open. That's Bilichuk for the Crew. Shots 9-6, 12:30 to go first period. 9-6 Outlaws on the shot clock, 2-1 Crude on the scoreboard. Fodchuk down the far wall, looking. Short-handed are the Crude. Elliott now is going to take his man. Elliott steps back, and that squeaks through Willis and just can't go in. It's 3-1. Short-handed as well, a tough one. So off the draw, I think a Crude player might have stepped in over the restraining line. They'll award possession to the Outlaws, and that could prove big because there's still 10 seconds on this power play. Outlaws set up. Now 5 seconds on the power play. Wells gets the seal, shoots around it, but it's soaked by the Crude. And now a Crude player is dragged down behind the play. That'll be a call. Official Sean Reed has his hand up. And now it's going to be picked up by the Outlaws. Crude will go to the power play. Interference, the call. So the Crude now with an opportunity on the power play, up 3-1. just approaching the midway point of the first. That low shot ripped into the feet of Willis, and he'll bounce it up floor. Hildebrand misses it, and it's back into the Crude's possession. Potential 3-on-1 here gets disrupted, and Dickin will pull it out. Graham Dickin up top, Liam Elliott back to Dickin. Dickin fakes that shot. Elliott now over to Fodchuk. Fodchuk down to the far or near crease. Now it was ripped cross crease, and Polson will push his man off the ball and pick it up. Wyatt Polson going to get the ball nicely up over center for the Outlaws with 1:15 left to kill. Big kill here for the Outlaws, as they don't want to get down too much more here early in the game, as Ferretti knocks the ball loose. Has some trouble picking it up. He gets knocked into the boards. I don't know why the Crude faithful want to call there. There's nothing there. And the Crude come up floor. Elliott up top. Fodchuk had that jam him up. Goes into the corner to pick it up. Fry was the intended target. The ball got knocked down before it got to him, and now Willis sends that off the ceiling. I don't think the ref saw that, but luck would have it that the ball just bounces into the Crude stick anyway. Elliott to the dotted, rips one. That got through Willis, but went into the corner. Fodchuk steps into one, and that hits something on its way to the net. Ball goes into the near corner, or far corner, I should say, and Smith grabs it. He's hit heavily there by Gaudreau, and he knocks the ball loose. Now, potential breakaway for the Outlaws. It's Aitken out of the box. Aitken stopped by Horn, and he also stepped inside the crease. And that's going to take us to our first immediate timeout of the game. With the score of the Crude 3, the Outlaws 1. Want to remind you about Battle of the Border. Battle of the Border takes place in Missoula, Montana. This September, you can check out the North versus South box lacrosse game and tour the beautiful University of Montana campus. That's Battle of the Border this September in Missoula, Montana. So even strength here, 9:33 to go. We pick play back up, and now Polson is hacking. Graham Dickin as Dickin crease dove, got to the net nicely there, and Dickin wanting a call, and he's probably right in that assessment. Didn't get one though, and now the Outlaws come back. Keller. Mishandled by Aitken, and the Crude with a chance to run and go. It's picked up eventually by Nick Apillo. He's got Schultz to the net. Schultz scores! Carson Schultz left all alone on a 3-on-1, and now the Crude have a 3-goal lead. And so the Crude, excited about that one, is celebrating a goal with like 12 guys on the floor. Take a 4-1 lead.
The Crude goal, scored by number 18, Carson Schultz. Assistant number 19.
Ballantyne up top.
Top of the Crude goal, 9-0-4.
Fry to Dickin. Dickin is going to survey and shoot that low. Misses the net on the pull shot. Back to the short side. Now Sutherland is going to try and burn up the floor. Cohen Sutherland goes by Fry, and he gets the ball into the far corner to Lachlan Muir. Now into the middle as Wells. He's open, doesn't get the ball. Hildebrand steps off a check. He goes down. Deswanka, heavy hacks there. No call. The Outlaws swing it over. Here's Wells. Stutter step, backpedaling and shooting. That goes wide. That'll be a shot clock violation. The Crude are going to take over. Much better defensive set there than what we've seen out of the Crude for much of this series. Bilichuk hands it off to Fodchuk. And now skipped over to Elliott. Elliott has Bowie open, and Bowie shut off by Willis. Loose ball by Bice now for the Outlaws. He works his way through traffic. A lot of hacking going on in this game both ways. And I'd expect to see some of that called here as Ellis comes back down into the offensive zone. Pick set there, Gaudreau rolls to the net, doesn't get it. Now Hildebrand up top with it. Hildebrand bothered there by McConnell. And that ball is going to turn over into the stick of the Crude. That pass gets knocked down though, and the Outlaws are going to have a reset. Hildebrand steps into one, stopped by Ward. Ball goes up and out of play. The Outlaws will get the reset. And they'll blow it in here with Dugan up top. Porter. Pick set there, and Aitken wide open. Didn't catch the ball though. He's pushed into the corner now. Ball back up top to Dugan. Tobin Dugan winds and fires wide. And Hildebrand will collect the loose ball. Still plenty of time on the shot clock. 10 seconds, but the ball is errantly thrown at the feet of Porter. Now the ball goes into the middle of the floor, picked up by the Outlaws. 2 seconds on the shot clock, and the clock's going to expire. It'll be Crude ball. .6:35 to go first period. Crude up by a score of 4-1. Fodchuk steps into one, that goes wide, and out of play. It'll be Outlaw possession. And the Outlaws would be smart to pick this up. There was only one, now 2 Crude defenders back. But they took their time, and now the advantage is gone. Ellis rolls off, steps into one, and he fires and scores. That's one Horn will want to have back, 4-2. So a much needed goal there for the Outlaws. A couple of questionable goals for the Crude is answered by a bit of a weaker one by the Outlaws. And they get back into this game. Shots reading 11-11, score 4-2 Crude. 6 minutes to go first period. That shot comes in high and stopped by Willis. Dickin scoops up the loose ball, reset for the Crude. Elliott is gonna wind and fire it over to Fodchuk, who steps back, gets the pick from Ballantyne. Elliott across the top, and Elliott steps into one, and again from distance, it's 5-2. And off the draw, it's picked back up by the Outlaws. Ellis steps over center. Just scored a goal for the Outlaws as the offense hits the floor. Keller, far corner. Here's Hildebrand. Ellis with no stick, sets a hard pick. And Hildebrand tried to feed it to him, not realizing he had no stick. And Nicapillo goes the other way. Nicapillo around Porter to the net, and Willis able to squeeze that off. Willis sends it, and I don't know why he sent that way up floor because he had a man wide open. It's going to be a turnover into the stick of Ferretti. Now Fodchuk underneath and knocked into the crease on the crease dive. And the ball turns over. towards the Outlaws. Poulsen through traffic, and Poulsen trying to bowl his way to the net. Picked up by the Crude. And that's Lemieux in transition. And he swims his way through a couple of defenders and gets the ball over center. Fry to the half wall where Elliott sits. Liam Elliott looking and feeding to Ballantyne. Half wall to Fawchuk, outside shot. And that time Willis able to take that long distance shot into his stick. Hildebrand misses it. Kind of bounced at his midsection. And Fawchuk the other way here. A lot of turnovers, and Ballantyne with the opportunity, and then Fawchuk was fed on the second opportunity. And the Outlaws struggling to pick it up, now do, and Porter runs away with it. Jesse Porter to the restraining line. Rolls off a check, Porter to the net, and he's stopped by Horn. The team's kind of some disjointed play here, go back and forth. Now Reich settles it down and gets it up to Fry, who sets up the offense. I want to thank you for joining us here on CROW LAX TV. Game 2 of the North semifinal. Hit subscribe, you'll be notified every time a game goes live. The Outlaws up 1-0. Crude looking to send this to a third and deciding game on Monday night from Service Place in St. Albert. Willis up floor to Hildebrand as he comes in. Hildebrand feeds it up high to Dugan. Back to Hildebrand. Hildebrand tries to go underneath. Bilichuk angles him off. Loose ball. And the Outlaws unable to grab it. Lemieux comes and turns it the other way. Lemieux to the net, and Lemieux has that ball sit at the feet of Willis. And now the Outlaws look to outlet. Here's Brooks. A fast-moving first period here. Only 2.5 left. Wells winds and fires, and that goes wide. And it'll be Crude ball. Although they say it hit a Crude player, it'll be Outlaws possession on the reset. Crude coaching staff does not like it. But the Outlaws will maintain possession. Hildebrand. Has McConnell on him. Hildebrand to the net. And that ball is fought off by Horn on the short side. Dzwanka traveling up over center as two players get tied up behind the play. Ferretti and Wells. And I don't know if they're going to take both or if they're just going to take Wells here. No, they're just going to take Wells, and it'll be a Crude power play. So the Crude power play sets up here. Fry. Elliott is going to step into one, stop. Oh my gosh, that went in. That went in. 6-2 Crude. And on a goal, it just cannot go in the net. The Crude have a 4-goal lead now. And the Outlaws are going to have to sort of wake up here if they want to prevent this game from getting away from them. Fry. All the way to the net. Fry on top of the crease tried to go low as he was falling. Keller going to pick up the ball. Up to Richardson, who doesn't bring it in. He whacks Smith a couple of times. And now Tyson Smith makes his way over center. Dickin. Vodchuk. Smith was wide open, but he wasn't ready for the ball. And the ball goes into the near corner. And now, here's Gaudreau. Transition, has Keller open. Noah Keller, and he misses the target. I think they're calling interference, and the ball is going to stay with the Outlaws. Here's Dugan. And from way out, Tobin Dugan buries it. That's another questionable one. So the goals flowing in here, 6-3 with 30 seconds to go in the first period. Vodchuk's going to slow it down. Fry over to Dickin. Graham Dickin. Underneath his defender. Now underneath another, and he tried a 5-hole attempt. Stopped by Willis, and here's goes Gaudreau. Looking to push, but the Crude get back. But Gaudreau's going to try to go to the net anyway. Good hit there by Nick Apillo to knock him back. And then Hildebrand with an outside rip from distance as the dying seconds go off the clock. And that's going to do it for the first period of play, as the Crude are going to take a first period lead into the room. After one, it's the St. Albert Crude 6, the Beaumont Outlaws 3. I want to thank you for joining us here on the channel. CROW LAX TV, hit subscribe. You'll be notified every time a game goes live. This is game 2 of the North semifinal. The Outlaws up 1-0. The Crude up 6-3 after the first. Return back for second period action in just under 10 minutes time. See you then. welcome back inside Ken Nickel Recreation Center for game number 2, period 2. It's the Crude leading the Outlaws by a score of 6-3. The Outlaws up in the series, the best of 3 series, 1-0. So the ball bounces out to center, and now Nick Apillo has got a breakaway. In, stopped by Willis. As Keller, I don't think realized he had back pressure, and just luckily enough for him was able to avoid it. Wells swings it over to Porter. Porter has a heavy pick set for him, and then that shot goes at the feet of Horn and out of play. It'll be Outlaws ball here on the reset. Wells steps, 5-hole on Horn. Another one I think that Horn would want to have back. He's made all the tougher saves in this series. It's been kind of some of the less likely or less high danger chances that have gone in, and the Outlaws narrow it back down to 2. Here comes Schultz. It's been a spark plug for the Crude this year. And the ball is handed off to Dickin. Dickin all the way to the net, and he stepped over top of the crease. The ref, I don't think, caught it, but the ball stayed out. Gaudreau flips it to Brooks. Brooks, and that shot is turned away by Horn. Nice save by the goaltender. And now the ball will get sent up floor. The ball wasn't picked up by Nick Apillo, though, and then he ran into the ref. Muir sends it to Aitken. Up top, Muir's got space to shoot, and he does, and Horn has the answer, and the rebound came right out to Aitken. Horn had another answer for that, and then the Outlaws went through the crease. The ball is going to be turned over and into Keller's stick. As Aitken fights off a check and lofts it up top. Hildebrand doesn't bring it in, though. He's going to have to avoid center here. He rolls it at Aitken, who knocks it down. He's still got 12 seconds on the shot clock. Aitken runs into traffic. Aitken all the way into the dotted. Now he loses it. And the Crude are going to just keep it loose here and try to draw the shot clock violation, which they do. Can't thank people enough for tuning in. Last night had about 140 live viewers. By the end of the night, had like 800 views. And much of the same so far here tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Game 2 of the North semifinal. Outlaws up 1-0, best of 3 series. Game number 3, if necessary, goes Monday night from Service Place. As the ball works around the perimeter here, Fry. Shot off his back foot. He's going to get a reset here. Smart take there by the veteran. Lofts it back out to Elliott. Elliott swings it to Fodchuk. Fodchuk steps into one that hits the logo of Willis. And he's going to look to get the ball up floor. He hits Hugh, who gets it up to Brooks. Brooks with some space. Brooks into the middle. Probably should have just shot that. Jammed up Bice, who was on the doorstep of the net. Now Brooks to the net. And Horn, seen him drop down quite a few times. He's been good on that type of save in tight as McConnell operates now deep in the Outlaw zone. Parker, McConnell will get it out to Nick Apillo, who sends it over to Fodchuk. Josh Fodchuk backpedaling into the near corner, gets it up high to Fry. Fry over to Dickin, underneath his defender, Graham Dickin, and that's stopped by Willis, who stayed tight to the near post. Keller grabs the loose ball, and he's going to transition to Stashniak, who navigates up over center. Brody Stashniak hits Aitken off the bench, who hands it off to Porter. Porter over to Wells. He surveys the middle of the floor. He swings it over to Porter, who doesn't bring it in. Outlaws batting the ball around here. It's like they have tennis rackets or sticks at the moment. And now Horn will pick it up in his own crease and send it up to Lemieux. Lemieux to the rag line. He's pushed a little bit, and he'll settle it down for the Crude. Bowie sends it to Fry. Fry to Fodchuk. Fodchuk looks at the net. He's going to shoot that at the 5-hole from a severe angle, and Willis shuts it off. 15 minutes to go in this second period. Crude with a 6-4 lead in game number 2. Outlaws up 1-0 in the best of 3. Now all the way to the net, and a scarecrow save there by Horn. That looked like Polson, who just kind of barged his way inside. And now Nick Apillo is chased by Polson, and he's going to throw it away. Here's Keller. Noah Keller in, scores! Noah Keller with the twister up high on Horn. Dangerous in transition. That's a good goal. And the Outlaws are back within 1. So the Outlaws have answered back here, narrowing the gap back down to 1 in this second period. And now Porter has a 3-on-2. Porter rips it into the belly of Horn as Porter gets tangled up behind the play here. Now they separate, and the Crude will have an offensive possession. Dickin sends it to Ballantyne. Up top, Graham Dickin steps into one. That goes wide. And now the Outlaws are going to head up over center. Here's Polson. Got a lane to the net. Polson, and stopped by Horn. Now the Crude have space up the floor. As the Outlaws start to get back, McConnell will pull out. And I do not believe Drader is dressed here tonight for the Crude, and I don't know if he's hurt or not, but that's a guy you really miss, I think. Definitely their best defender and best transition player. I mean, if he's out for any period of time, that's obviously a loss for them. Elliott winds and fires. That goes off a stick. Fodchuk had a little bit of space there on the far side and sent it there, but the ball went wide as the shot clock expired. Now Hildebrand out of the bench and didn't bring the ball in, as that ball was right in his stick, and now the Outlaws are going to take a penalty here as the Crude are going to throw it away, and the Outlaws pick it up. Crude power play with 13:11 to go, second period, up 1. So, Crude power play sets up here. And they've scored a lot of goals from distance here. And Fry's going to take another look at the net. Stopped by the stick of Willis. Now Gaudreau, who I've talked about at length. Very good in transition for the Outlaws. He gets that up over center and sends it to Wells. Austin Wells. He's going to wait and slow play this. Looking to kill some time and not an extensive amount of pressure. Sends that one in from way out. Easily handled by Horn. 1:15 on the power play now as the Crude go back up floor. You have any comments or thoughts about this game or anything lacrosse related, hit us up in the chat. And you can also reach me at MJ_9 on Twitter and m.joma on Instagram. As Elliott sends one from the boards, stopped by Willis, but that's going to result in a reset here. Still 50 seconds on the power play. Ball works its way around. Fry. Crease look, and great save there as Willis steps up with a shoulder save on the quick stick. his best by far of the series, really, as Fodchuk mishandles it. And Gaudreau comes back over center. Gaudreau, one man to beat. Elliott spins around him, and then Gaudreau lost it as he tried to get some space to shoot it. Gaudreau stepped inside the crease, and it'll be Crude ball with 30 seconds remaining on the power play. Ball with Elliott. Nobody knows Elliott had some space and hit the crossbar. Goes out and up out of play, and it'll be Crude ball here with 20 seconds remaining on the power play. Can the Outlaws get out of this unscathed? Fry. Fodchuk. Fodchuk whips one low, pulls it, misses the net. And here's Muir. Has Fry back on him, and Menon will get back and help him out. Muir holds on to this. Muir all the way to the net. Wrong side of the floor, and he jumped up in the air to create maybe perhaps a little bit of a better angle, but they say he stepped up over top of the cylinder. Crude ball. The Outlaws, however, have killed it off. The teams go back to even strength. 11 minutes to go, second period, as Bowie comes in. He's pressured out. The ball is sent over to Smith. Now Fodchuk out of the near corner, swings it over to Elliott. And now it looks like two players might have their helmets locked up. They'll blow it dead. I don't know why they're giving them a reset. Okay, official Sean Reed's counting it down. Smith with the opportunity on the cut. That goes out of play. They say it does not hit the goaltender, and so it'll be Outlaws possession. Here's Keller, who can really run. Gets out, and Hildebrand off the bench, wide open, and just misses the net. Keller saves it. They say he didn't save it before he crossed center, though, and it'll be over and back, Crude ball. And Hildebrand was absolutely unreal last night. He's had some chances here and just not quite connecting here. He's been wide open here in the second period off the bench a few times. Fodchuk now, and right through Willis. 7-5. Now the ball springs free off the draw. It goes deep into the Crude zone. So now there's some sort of tie-up by the Outlaw bench. It's Ferretti, the Outlaw coaching staff, wanting a call. They're not going to get one as Elliott down low. Fodchuk walks the crease, and he sends that wide. Elliott, no-look pass. Fodchuk went through the crease, so they say Outlaw ball. Back the other way comes Gaudreau. Gaudreau to Hildebrand. Once again storming off the bench. Hildebrand tries to twist that on the spin move to the short side. Don't think that caught any of the goaltenders, so they won't get the reset. Polson picks the loose ball up, though. Pick set there by Porter. Polson, that is Polson. There's that shot, goes wide. And now loose ball, Crude player blown up. And that's going to be an easy interference call. And now Dizwanka gets knocked down near the Outlaw bench. It's going to result in some words. But I don't think any sort of call here. And we'll get our second media timeout of the game. Want to remind you about Battle of the Border. Battle of the Border takes place in Missoula, Montana this September. Check out the North versus South box lacrosse game and tour the beautiful University of Montana campus. That's Battle of the Border this September in Missoula, Montana. So back into the offensive zone come the Crew. Dickin around a check. Now a second defender steps up on him. It's Keller. And now he gets doubled. He sends it back out up top to Elliott. Here is Fry. From distance, sends that one in. And now Gaudreau, if he can run this down, has a trailer. As Menon hustles back. Gaudreau on the second opportunity. Sends it to Keller, and Keller missed the net, it looked like, and stepped into the crease. So it'll be Crude ball here. They lead 7-5, 8:42 to go in this middle frame. Outlaws up 1-0 in the best of three in North semifinal. The winner moves on to face the Rebels in another best of three. That'll be the North final, and they'll also punch their ticket to the Larry Bishop as Elliott, wide open, is turned away, and then he ran through the crease to go get the ball. So Crude possession, or Outlaw possession here. Polson just getting it over in time. Wells sends it cross floor to Cook, and he promptly sends it back to Wells. Wells, back pressure, he loses it. As Wells and Ferretti tie up once again. Now in transition come the Crew. Fawchuk, shot on the run, rebound is not picked up by the Crew, and Bice will transition out. Bice, that shot comes in from Dugan, stopped by Horn. Now up floor, Schultz mishandles it. That's going to be back over. Well, apparently not. And the Crude are going to get possession here. Now, Dickin into the middle, swims. Dickin tried to jump over top of the goaltender. Nothing doing there, and he stepped over the cylinder. So the Outlaws come back into the offensive zone. Brooks is going to control it here. Brooks tried to hit Dugan. Ball goes into the corner. It's picked back up by the Outlaws. Hildebrand, pick set by Dugan. Now up top, Brooks steps into one, misses low. And now the ball is going to bounce right to Reich here on a break. Noah Reich in. Twister scores. Reich buries it in transition. 8-5 Crew. So the Crude get another one in transition and have another 3-goal lead in this one. Cook is going to gather it in and get pressured into the corner by Schultz. That ball is going to have to be picked back up by Aitken. Aitken steps into the zone. Swings it into the stick of Dugan. That ball got through Horn, but went past the near post. And now the Crude again off the bench. Fawchuk wide open. Stopped by Willis. Fawchuk is going to draw the interference call after the fact, and the Crude gain possession back. Crude taking advantage of the Outlaws perhaps falling asleep in reverse transition, moving pick. The Outlaws will gain the possession. Here's Stashniak. He's going to send it to Wells, who takes his time and sends it to Brooks. Brooks, pick set there by Aitken. Easy stop there for Horn. And Dzwanka will pick it up off the floor and turn it up. Fry, up high, near center. Pressed there by Brooks. Ball is now over into the stick of Ballantyne. Fawchuk. Now Elliott from way out, and the ball almost goes through Willis again, and then Smith rebound. Stopped by Willis. Elliott now behind the back pass. Fry walks the crease. And that goes off of Willis and out of play. The ball's going to stay with the Crude as we get a call for the wipe of the floor. 5 minutes to go now, second period. The Crude with a few chances here to try and extend the lead. They've gotten the last two, I believe, in this game. And we sit here with 5 minutes to go, second period. 8-5, the Crude lead. Now the ball goes back over, and the Outlaws are going to pick it up quickly. Richardson to the dotted. Stopped by Horn. Now Gaudreau picks it up, and he makes his way back out. And he gets pressured heavily now in and around the net. They need to get some guys onto the floor here to help him out, and didn't do so in time, and the Crude are going to pick it up. Elliott scoring a bunch from outside here and often way out. He's going to swing it over to Ballantyne. Vodchuk. Now back over to Elliott. Seal set for him. Shot down underneath. Stopped by Willis. Ball is going to be picked back up by Bennett Fry. Fry, Bowie. Bowie winds and fires, and that got soaked by an Outlaw. Now out of the gate comes Wells. The ball was over his head. That was a golden opportunity. Just miss as Hildebrand grabs the ball with his hand. Easy handball call. And it'll be Crude ball. Here's Smith. Ball up high, Ballantyne back to Smith. Now Fry to the rag line. Up and over it. Fry flips it back for Dickin on the two-man game. He has the ball dislodged. And here goes the Outlaws, 2-on-1. Keller and Muir. Keller keeps it, loses it, and the ball is into the stick of McConnell, who quickly sends it up to Menon. Partial 2-on-1 here. Now Schultz goes into the crease with it. He had possession of the ball. I don't know why it wasn't bone dead, but anyways, the Outlaws are going to come back down. Here's Cook. Ball at the feet of Aitken. The Outlaws don't pick it up here. And now the ball stays loose in the near corner. There's a bunch of contact being made here. And it looks like the Crude are going to come away with it. Fawchuk now with it fairly deep into the Outlaw zone. I don't even know how the ball got up floor there. As Elliott sends it into the middle. Cutter Smith, and that ball stayed out. Hit the post, stayed out. As Elliott and Ellis go at it. Long shot comes in, stopped by Willis. Here come the Outlaws. Polson navigating traffic, and he's gonna think about taking Smith to the net. Opts not to. The pick comes over, but it's from the wrong side of the floor, so that roll's not gonna be open. Now Wells tried to send it over. Aitken steps back, and that low shot goes out of play, and official Sean Reed is going to overrule the low official and say that went off of Horn. And then the cutter was wide open, and Horn, late to react, makes the save. That looked like that was going to be a goal for the Outlaws, and Horn saves the day on that with 1:44 to go in this second period. Elliott has Ellis on him. Fry to Vodchuk. Good feet inside, and Ballantyne goes up and over Willis to make it 9-5. The Outlaws win the ensuing draw, and now Gaudreau storms into the zone. He flips it down to Muir, and now it looks like Ferretti was tied up with Bice, and I think they're taking both of them. And then Menon is going to take, I believe that's Menon, is going to take an unsportsmanlike. And so I think it's going to result in an Outlaws power play. So it'll be 5-on-4. The Outlaws will go to the man advantage. And 1:19 left in this second period. So they had to remove the coincidentals off of the board. And we're ready to go here. Porter's pressured as he tried to bring the ball in, and it's going to be Crude ball. As Nick Apillo storms in, Nick Apillo stopped by Willis. And McConnell grabs the loose ball. Here's Fodchuk as we dip underneath the final minute of the metal frame. Here's Graham Dickin. Now Elliott operating up near the rag line. He sends it back up to Dickin from distance. Shot soaked by Cook, and the ball bounces back to center, and we'll get an Outlaw possession here with 30 seconds remaining in the period. And sloppy pass there is saved by Brooks. Wells. Porter. Pick set there by Hildebrand. Wells steps into one, stopped by Horn as he dropped to the floor. The ball was going back up high, but just tall enough to get that one before it rose into the top corner. Wells getting pressured here. Porter steps into a shot, stopped by Horn. And Horn is just going to hold this for the rest of the period. And he does send it down, didn't have to, and that is the end of the second period with the score. The St. Albert Crude 9, the Beaumont Outlaws 5. Shots after 40 minutes of play, the St. Albert Crude 49, at the Beaumont Outlaws 39. I want to thank you for joining us here on the channel, CROW LAX TV. This is game number 2 of the North semifinal, best of 3. The Outlaws up 1-0, the Crude up 9-5 in game 2. If the Crude do hold on, we'll have game number 3 from Service Place in St. Albert on Monday night. Come back and find out if the Crude are able to force that game number 3 on Monday night. Now, as we sit here from Ken Nickel Arena, 10 minutes, we'll be back for third period action. Crude 9. Welcome back inside Ken Nickel Recreation for period 3 of game number 2. The Crude with a 9-5 lead as they look to even this best of 3 up at ones and send it to a game number 3 that'll decide not only who wins the series and moves on to play the Rebels in the North Final, but also who gets that second spot out of the North, because the Rebels are hosting the Provincials this year. As Wells steps into one, stopped by Horn. Outlaws power play remaining here for 15 seconds. Wells down to Hildebrand. He's missing the ball here. And the ball comes back out into Crude possession. Bilichuk chased there by Dugan. Bilichuk deep into the zone. And Bilichuk swims his way through 2 players and left the ball behind, but now he goes and gets his body in front of it to waste more time for the Crude. And they've killed it off. Probably a power play that the Outlaws needed to capitalize on if they wanted a legitimate chance, but still 19 minutes to go here, trailing by 4. If you remember, the Crude trailed by 4 late in a game about halfway through the season here in Ken Nickel. It was 10-6 with about 6.5 to go. And they would come back and win the game in overtime, and what was a collapse by the Outlaws. We'll see if the Outlaws can return the favor here with plenty of time left, as Hildebrand is going to collect the loose ball off the shot. Hildebrand on the run, rebound, and it's potted by Wells on the second chance opportunity, and he quick sticks it home, 9-6. Yeah, it's good here, or it's good to see here tonight another good crowd as the attendance is ratcheted up for these playoffs. Yeah, it makes a big difference in the building. Obviously, the players are playing with a little more urgency, a little more intensity, and it's helped obviously by these crowds. And credit to people for showing up here. Ken Nickel for game number 2, as was the case last night in St. Albert. The ball goes low at the feet of Fodchuk, and Keller bats it forward for Gaudreau. Jacob Gaudreau collects it off the floor. Gaudreau in transition, peels out. He's chased by Elliott, and Gaudreau will get it to Dugan. Now skipped across crease, and just unable to bring it in was Keller. And now Deswanka in transition, hands it off to Nicopillo. Now Fodchuk operates up high. He sends it over to Dickin. Graham Dickin to the half wall for Bowie. Bowie winding in. Now Smith shovels it in on net. He sends an Outlaw to the floor on the loose ball, but it's then picked up by the Outlaws. Hugh up floor. Nice. Well, I thought Bice one-handed that. Now he runs after the loose ball and gathers it in. Outlaws changing. Slow to get on the floor. They need help here up, and Bice is going to survive the contact, send it into the middle. Hildebrand didn't bring it in, and now Aitken collects the loose ball. Aitken across the top, bounces that wide. Crude player thrown to the floor. It'll be Crude possession. 16:40 to go now. Crude up, 9-6, and now a bit of an undisciplined penalty. Looks like it's coming up to the Outlaws. I believe Hildebrand is going to go to the box for delay game. Swings it over to Dickin, and that shooter-to-shooter look goes off of the leg of Willis, and out of play, Crude reset. Liam Elliott, Fodchuk skips it over to Fry, stopped by the netminder Willis. Loose ball, back out, Crude possession, extended opportunity here for the Crude power play. Now Dickin tried a short side high shot, turned away by Willis, and Dickin is banged up here. Skipped down to Ballantyne. As Dickin has to go off the floor. That low shot just goes right through Willis again, and it's 10-6. These goals, folks, can't go in. So the power play marker for Elliott, it gives the Crude their 4-goal lead back, which they entered the third period with. Loose ball. And it's going to be picked up here by the Crude. Reich, good job fighting for it. He loses it. He's got to get it over center, and he does just in time. He sends it up to McConnell, who hands it off to Bowie. Reich with a goal in this game, having a pretty good one here for the Crude, stepping up. Fodchuk, off-balance shot, stopped by Willis. Rebound, almost picked up by the Crude. Now Elliott fights for it, and he picks it up. Smith, up high, sends it back to Elliott. Liam Elliott underneath, and Twister stopped by Willis. Here's Keller, floating it up floor to Muir. Muir winds and fires, sends that wide. Ball goes out of play. The Crude had an open gate, so the ball will stay with the Outlaws. Dugan, outside shot, misses the net. Brooks, now Muir. Muir sends it down, tried to send it down to Brooks. It's picked off. Good stick there by Lemieux. Fires it up to Nicapillo. And with 14.5 to go, the Crude up 4 will have the ball. Fodchuk Dickin, who looks like he's all right, returned into play after getting banged up a moment ago. That's a moving pick. And it'll be Outlaws ball. And now the Outlaws are just going to airmail it down, and the Crude pick it back up. McConnell goes for a run, past Bice. And he waits for some help. He gets it up to Fodchuk. Ball is bounced at the chest of Fry. He knocks it down, saves it, sets it up for the Crude. Dickin, outside shot into the stick of Willis. Now Cook with it, comes up floor. Hildebrand to the net. Hildebrand, and he's stopped down low by Horn. And now Hildebrand knocks a Crude player down on the back. That's going to be a penalty. Hildebrand to the box for cross-checking. So the Crude, having just scored on the power, return to it and try to extend their lead. Elliott up top. Fodchuk back to Elliott. Elliott skips it down to Ballantyne. Ballantyne into the middle for Fry. Fry is going to peel out and set it back up. Elliott winds, fires, and that goes through Willis again, 11-6. So the unsportsmanlike penalty to Bennett Fry is going to result in an Outlaw power play here after the goal. The Outlaws will set up 5-on-4. As Walker's going to get off, and they'll send somebody else on, but there's only 10 seconds on the shot clock. Quick stick didn't work. Now Porter up to Wells, and Wells with a low shot absorbed by Horn. Here's Dzwanka getting the ball up to mid-floor. He's going to hold on to it for some time here. The Crude looking to kill. Richardson jamming him up. Dzwanka just going to hold on to this and roll it at the net. As now Fodchuk is tied up with Mirror, and then Menon comes in on Mirror. And are we getting, no, they're just taking one here. Thought they were going to take two, and they only take the Crude player. So the Outlaws are going to go to 5-on-3. So 5-on-3 here for the next 50 seconds or less. As Wells has the ball now behind the back down to Hildebrand. Hildebrand takes a whack from Nicopillo, plays him aggressively. Hildebrand tried to work his way out in front and throw it behind the back. Didn't make it to the net. Now Porter picks it up. Down low, Hildebrand steps out in front. Good stop there by Horn. Hildebrand trying to stay out of the crease. Doesn't do so, and it'll be Crude ball. They look to kill some time. The ball is thrown into the post and stick at center. Outlaws will set back up with 20 seconds remaining on the 5-on-3. Crude up, 11-6, 11:20 to go. Outlaws got to get at least one here if they want to have a serious chance. Porter steps, quick stick, and that ball stayed out. I think that hit bar. And now Horn sends one into the far boards. And it's going to go back into possession of the Outlaws. Still 50 seconds remaining on the man advantage. 5-on-4 now. Outlaws need to hurry here, as there's only 40 seconds remaining on the power play and 13 seconds on the shot clock. Not the amount of time of utilization that you want there. As that ball gets sent up floor. And nice pick off there by Porter. 25 seconds remaining in the power play. Can the Outlaws get one here to narrow it down to 4? Here's Wells. Down low, Hildebrand. Ellis slips into the middle. Wells, Porter. That shot goes wide off the floor. And once again, Noah Reich is going to take off in. Stopped by Willis. And Fodchuk goes and collects that loose ball. He mishandles it and bats it over center, or back over center before he crossed the line. Saves the back over call. Elliott with a big pick there that's going to be called, and Outlaw possession. Here's Stashnik coming up with the ball. 9:45 to go. Crude up 11-6 here from Ken Nickel. Outlaws lead the best of 3-1 nothing. Crude looking to even it up and send it to a game 3. That'll decide it on Monday night from service in St. Albert as the ball gets thrown over to Dugan. He tried to hit a cutter. That was too high. And the ball bounces right to Horn, who outlets nicely up floor. And now behind the play, Bice whacked Ferretti. And that'll be a call, and the Crude will go 6-on-5. Dickin. Elliott looking, no look pass, and Smith just couldn't bring it in. Muir will pick it up, and the Outlaws go to the box. ball is going to be thrown into the crease of Willis. We'll get our third and final media timeout. That was a 5-minute slashing call that just got assessed to the Outlaws. So obviously, probably curtains for them as they trail by 5 with 8:50 to go and having to kill off a major. We get our third and final media timeout of the game. Want to remind you about Battle of the Border. Battle of the Border takes place in Missoula, Montana this September. Check it out. The North versus South box across. Play will restart here with Hildebrandt coming up over center. He's marked there by Reich. Hildebrandt is going to go for a run. Up high. And if you're the Outlaws, you probably got to take chances here. This is not what you want, holding the ball up high. You just got to basically run an exchange, get the ball moving up and down, and then try to get a cutter off ball. But the Outlaws did none of the sort, and that's going to be a Crude possession here with 8 minutes to go. Shots right now, 61-48 in favor of the Crude. They lead 11-6. As the ball sits with Dickin, up high, Elliott now to Fodchuk. Elliott goes back, he tried to go back over to Dickin, loose ball picked up by Fodchuk. Fodchuk winds into the belly of Willis, who looks up floor. He sends that into the ceiling. It'll be Crude ball. I want to thank you for joining us here on the channel, CROW LAX TV. Hit subscribe, you'll be notified every time a game goes live. This, of course, is game number 2 of the North Semi. The Outlaws leading the series 1-0. The Crude looking like they're going to tie it up 1-1 and send it to a deciding game 3 Monday night from Service Place. Be sure to dial into the channel. We'll have every game of these North playoffs for you, including the Silvertip home games in the Central. And also, of course, have senior coverage for you. The Beaumont Outlaws starting their series tomorrow afternoon against the Calgary Mountaineers as Polson comes back down the floor, and good stop there by Horn. As the ball comes back down into the zone, and the Crude will set up. Still 3 minutes to go on this power play. Crude will just hang on to this and waste some time. Now Fodchuk with a lot of room to shoot, takes it. He's turned away. Horn picks up the loose ball, sends it to Fry. They get the reset off the shot. 6.5 to go, Crude up 5. Elliott skips it, quick stick. Valentine stopped by Willis. Valentine didn't have much of an angle there. He was kind of past the net. And now the Crude get the ball on the reset. Fry, Fodchuk gets it back over Elliott. And that's one thing, as that ball goes off the post. It's funny, that was Elliott's best shot of the game, and it didn't go in. By far his best shot of the game as he ripped that to the far side and just nailed the post. He's been scoring a lot from way out, and ironically, his best shot of the game doesn't go in as Dugan gets the ball sent to him. But yeah, you know, it's important to note that the Outlaws are going to have to see what they have in terms of some of their depth pieces, as I know they're using some affiliates here again today, and they might have a bit of a different lineup come game 3. We'll see. And the other thing I was going to note is the Crude power play have had extended possessions here in this game where they've been able to get resets and loose balls, and it's resulted in 3 and 4 opportunities at net. And here's another one as Fry grabs a loose ball. Eventually it's picked back up by Dickin. And again, another reset on the power play. And that's been a difference in this game along with goaltending for the Crude. Second chance opportunities. on resets, Horn has just been better in the net as Fodchuk steps into one and Willis makes that save. Now Muir gets whacked, loses the ball, picks it back up. Here's Lachlan Muir still with it. Dugan rolls out. That shot from a bad angle, easily stopped by Horn. Here's Ballantyne. 4:14 to go. Crude enjoying a 5-goal lead. Here's Lemieux. This game has slowed down significantly here in the last 10 minutes or so. Fodchuk into the gut of Willis. Here comes Sutherland. Up floor to Bice. Couldn't bring it in. Pass was a bit low. And Horn, good job there grabbing the loose change in front of his net. He just throws that down the floor. Probably worried about the 8-second count. And Ballantyne is going to fight for it with 2 Outlaws around him, and Ellis will pick it up. Here's Hildebrand into the zone. Hildebrand from distance, that goes off the end boards into the back of the net. Horn goes and grabs that loose once again. That's something that the goaltender can really make a difference in, is being aware of where the ball is and having the awareness to go and grab it. And now Ferretti was taken down. Didn't quite see what happened there, but the Outlaws definitely getting a penalty here. There's a Crude player stepped in to intervene. Looks like it's a cross-checking call. Crude go back to the power play. Ballantyne, but the heavy pick set there by Smith. The ball now on the right side. Dickin, Fodchuk, whips it. On net, picked back up again by the Crude. I told you, this has been all game long here. They've been able to get loose balls on their power play. And it's just extended zone time and allowed them to get a lot of looks at net. Fodchuk from well out, goes wide and high, and now Keller is going to run away from Ballantyne. Ballantyne, good job to backtrack, but Keller got to the net and buried it past Horn, short-handed to make it 11-7. So Noah Keller with his second of the game, short-handed, makes it a 4-goal game. But unfortunately for the Outlaws, probably a little too late here with only 2 minutes remaining. Ball is now with Dickin, right side. Still short-handed are the Outlaws. Fodchuk behind the back pass, now down low. Ball is ripped up to Fodchuk, steps back and fires from about 40 feet. It's 12-7. Ball carried in deep by McConnell around the net. Chased there by Muir. And he's freed up by Smith. And the ball gets sent up to Ballantyne, now back down to Smith. Tyson Smith checked there heavily by Muir, knocked him into the crease, outlaw ball. Richardson, the former Crude player, will move over center. Ball is up top with Aitken. Now down to Brooks. Looks to the middle. Tried to hit Weiss. Ball goes loose. Dugan runs it down. Didn't pick it up though. Now he picks it up and he loses it again. Nicapillo boxes out. Just keeps it loose here. He gets bumped. And a shot clock violation. Crude ball. Smart play by Nicapillo, not trying to pick that up and just leaving the ball to stay loose. And as we wind down here, underneath 30 seconds, we are going to see a deciding Game 3 on Monday night. The Crude will even this series up at 1 and will shift back to St. Albert. This time out of Service Place as they put the ice in Jerome McGinley, or are putting the ice in Jerome McGinley. So the Crude will have to shift scenes to Service Place for game number 3, where the Outlaws will go in and try to knock off the Crude and upset them. But for now, the Crude have tied the series up at 1s. Game 3, Monday night from Service Place. The Crude with the 12-7 victory, and the North semifinal will be decided on Monday night. Final shots in the game, 71-51 for the Crude. The Crude take it 12-7. Game 2 is theirs, 1-1 the series as we shift back to St. Albert. The winner will move on to face the Rebels, who have the Northern bye, and book their ticket as the second team into the Larry Bishop Memorial Tournament as we look to crown an Alberta champ and send them off to Founders this year, being held in Calgary in August. Final score here from Ken Nickel. The Beaumont Outlaws fall to the St. Albert Crude by a score of 12-7. We'll see you Monday night for game number 3. And of course, we'll have senior action here tomorrow afternoon, where the Beaumont Outlaws will open up game number 1 against the Calgary Mountaineers. Best of 5 senior semifinal starts up tomorrow afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. We'll check back in with you tomorrow afternoon for some senior action. So long, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.